Hello there, I'm Dan.
And I'm Can.
And this is a Candid Conversation. Welcome back, outlaws. I don't know, are we going to make it stick? We'll find out.
No, it doesn't. It's not. Because that's from Faith with Outlaws. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I don't think it works. Okay? We got to come up with something else.
Whatever, dude.
Friends. How about just friends?
Friends?
How about heretics? Fellow heretics? Yeah, maybe.
Well, sure. We'll see. We'll try it out. We'll see how it feels.
Or just humans.
Welcome back, humans.
I think friends would work. Don't you?
Sure.
No?
Sure. It's kind of blah.
Okay, so it's
Blah.
not cool enough for you. Okay,
No,
all
I need
right,
something.
got it.
Our people need something that they can
How about
be
our
proud
peeps?
of.
How about peeps?
Our peepees?
Yeah. No, that's what we
What's up,
call
peepees?
That's what our daughter gets called sometimes, peepees. She's our peeps, and when she was a little baby and we were at the fair and Dan pulled the little, you have the stroller and then the cover. He pulled the cover up and he's like, "Candy, look." And her eyes are like, we have a picture of her as a teenager with her eyes like that. She's always been very alert to the world, and
Yes.
you've heard us talk about her lots of times. Reese.
Yeah.
She's our little entertainer.
She is.
Today, what we're going to talk about. So, have you ever needed something done and asked somebody to help you with it? And instead of helping you, they say, "I'm not called to that kind of work." And it's just a basic job, basic human living kind of job. Have you ever had that?
Maybe not in that exact wording, but I've had people say, "It's not my job."
Okay.
But
have they used spiritual language? My point is like a spiritual, like calling is a spiritual kind of word. It's got spiritual connotation to it.
I'm sure it has. I just can't think of anything offhand.
A pastor might not do some of the things that layman would do because he's kind of above that. Like, you don't see the pastor in most churches. There might be some scrubbing the toilets.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I want to talk about is spiritual bypassing and what it is. So what would you say the definition of spiritual bypassing is? Because it's used quite a bit in our everyday world. We heard it in Christianity, for sure.
To be blunt, it's a cop-out.
Yeah, basically.
You're just using spirituality and God's calling for you to get out of doing something you feel that's beneath you or not equivocal of your time.
Well, let's just do the definition it's a term coined by psychologist John Wellwood, and I'm getting this just from the AI overview when you type it in Google. And it says it's the use of spiritual ideas, practices, or beliefs to avoid or rationalize away unresolved emotional issues, psychological wounds, and development challenges, preventing true healing by escaping painful feelings or responsibilities. So instead of processing difficult emotions or facing difficult truths, individuals use spiritual platitudes or concept like everything happens for a reason, or God's ways are higher than our ways. That's another form of it too, as a defense mechanism, creating a false sense of peace while bypassing essential inner work. Now, some people will call spiritual bypassing when someone is trying to reframe a situation that they're in that they feel like they can't get out of. And I think in some cases that's a little unfair because if they feel trapped, like in a situation, they might have to reframe it until their nervous system can get calm enough to discover their choices.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I think I think a common one that gets used a lot is thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers of spiritual bypassing, yes.
So instead of dealing with a tragedy or circumstance, I'll pray for that. Or another one, small groups in church where you're sitting there and you present something that's weighing heavy on you, maybe an issue you're struggling with, or part of life that's difficult right now for you. And, well, I'll lift you up in prayer for that. There's no real meat behind it.
Which is just another, I'll pray for you.
Yeah.
Which, even if I remember that being an issue in Christianity. I remember people saying that and it feeling very empty. And so I was like, I'm genuinely going to pray for them. Like I would do it right away in my own head, because I was like, otherwise I just wouldn't say I was going to pray for them, but I genuinely going to pray for them. Does it do anything? Probably eases my mind more than anything that I did something when maybe I didn't, but maybe it's a lot of times it was things out of your hand, right? Like my grandma's dying. Okay. I'll pray for her. Your prayers really aren't going to do anything. Instead, you might want to say, like, is there something that you need? Can I help make a meal? Can I, is there, a way that we can help you through this time?
It's bypassing your mental, your conscious, your, not your conscious, so you don't have to feel but your conscience.
Conscience.
Yeah.
So you don't have to feel
you put
any
a temporary
real
Band-Aid
feelings
over
about
it.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I don't have to worry about it. This is
I did
God's
my part.
will. And
done.
Yeah. And you just gave it over there. And it's a cop-out because you're not doing anything about it. You're just, I said my prayer, so everything should be good. And it's not. Because you didn't do anything. You didn't do any of the work. You just, instead of sitting down and trying to come along and work through the issue. I mean, we had issues with that in our marriage where we'd have issues that we were dealing with. Hey, this is going on. Okay, well, let's pray about it. And that would be the end of it for that time being. Did it fix anything? No. It just
we'd have to have the conversation over and over and over.
We just kicked the can down the road because we never worked on anything.
Yeah.
And it's laziness is what it is. It's mental laziness. So it's the easy way out of, let's not really get into this and deal with the dirty details of it. Roll up our sleeves and try to work through a situation.
Or look at our own self. Well, and I would say it's laziness, but it's also, because I don't like to.
Right word.
No,
but
what I would say is it's an avoidance of the conflict, whether the internal conflict or conflict with the other person. You're trying to avoid conflict, and conflict is unavoidable.
Yeah.
You have to if you ignore what's going on.
Of this.
Yes, you are. But
you're
not really a spiritual bypasser.
I'm
That's
just
not
a
really.
bypasser.
You're just a bypasser in general. Not so much anymore because you deal with conflict pretty well with me.
But
anyways,
I still have my
now.
times of let's put a pin in that and we'll circle back to it later. All I'm doing
because you're not ready to feel.
Yeah, I'm not, because I think there's some justification to feeling like that. Hold on, I'm going to adjust my mic. Is really, really hot. Like me, my mic is hot. So I think there's justification because for me, you are more equipped to that. Your personality is more equipped. You want immediate resolution of issues that pop up.
Or I want to at least start the process. Yes.
Here's
I'm not going to.
I stated the problem. I addressed the problem. Let's fix the problem right now. My personality is like, I'm not in the mood for dealing with this right now. I'm not in the mental space to deal with this right now. And I really need to be in the mental space for this. So then I'll be like, let's circle back to this. Now, is that necessarily the best thing? No. But it's not a bad thing either because you're not going to get.
It's conditioning on both ends. Yeah. I'm conditioned to to create some sort of equilibrium in the feelings and emotions going on. I'm feeling it inside me. It needs to be balanced somehow.
And you feel,
right?
You feel everything in you.
Well, yeah, that's
So
a phys.
if something's going wrong with you, you're going to have, your stomach's going to hurt, your legs are going to hurt.
I will physically have a reaction.
You'll have physical reaction. I don't.
No. You could be like feeling anxiety and you wouldn't even, because you're a little dissociated because of conflict aversion.
Yeah.
And that's like, a lot of that has to do with your parents rarely disagreed in front of you. If they did, it was a blow up. Is that correct?
That's safe. Yeah. That's safe.
And probably, or anyone in your family. It was a blow up that you saw. You didn't know how to resolve conflict without fighting.
Yeah.
And if the fights that happened didn't resolve anything, there was just cold shoulders for long periods of time and nothing was resolved. You at least didn't see it. Now, maybe it was resolved behind closed doors, but you didn't get to see the resolution of it. So you didn't have a program. So conflict just means someone's going to reject you.
Honestly, I don't know if it ever did get resolved. I think it just
probably not. And knowing your family, it was diluted enough by time that and other experiences happening. So I would say, and then for me and my family, we had conflict. A lot of times it would get resolved in some way, not necessarily healthy, but like conflict was a constant basically. So I don't have an aversion to it. Sometimes I might
and
forget that it's scary for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and I would just head right into it and be like,
this is going to be a tangent we don't need to go down, but I think some of it was the dynamics that we grew up in. You had a brother that was like a year and a half older, 2 years older than you, a sister that was a few months younger than you, so you had immediate age right around you. I was by myself 6 years younger than my sisters.
Yeah.
So there was a definite gap in what was going on here. I grew up.
What would happen if you had problems with your friends? Like if you had, because you're human, so there'd be times people would annoy you. What would happen?
You just kind of ignore it.
Can you think of a time when you you felt a friend was either being rude, taking advantage of you,
there was one time
acting
I remember
like a
in
jerk?
high school that I can't remember what it was, and me and my friends were typical teenage boys. We just bust each other's balls all the time.
Yeah,
and you'd say things that would be like, "Damn."
That was, like that's, you cut low.
That's
like, did you mean that one?
Yeah. And that was just how we talked 90% of the time to each other. And one time it hit me wrong and I had a little pouty fit and I drove off and went home, and it shocked everyone because that was never my response. And some of these kids, this is like junior year, senior year in high school. And I've known some of these kids since kindergarten.
Yeah.
And it shocked them because they never saw this response before. And they showed up at my house. I never
heard this story.
They showed up at my house.
Oh, the person who said it?
All of them.
Or all of them?
And I was like, what, just, angsty teen. They're like, dude, we were just messing around, we're being ourselves.
What'd they say?
I have no idea.
Do you want to share on here? You don't remember?
No, I couldn't remember.
Kind of curious what triggered that.
But yeah, I can't remember for the life of me.
Or maybe you were just you weren't well rested or well fed or dehydrated. It could be a lot of things. Your physical body, the state it's in at the time.
For some reason, I just wasn't ready to receive that night, and it
triggered something.
Yeah, it hit me in a certain way and just threw me off the edge. And they'd never seen it before, and it kind of shocked the shit out of them.
But it showed what good friends they came to you,
Yeah, and I remember they were like, "Man, we love you. We're just fucking around with you, And I'm like, finally, it's like, "Yeah, I know. I was just being oversensitive or whatever." And
which you weren't. You weren't being oversensitive. You were sensitive to it because there was good reason. It was triggering.
Yeah, but that's what I said.
For whatever reason.
I'm just being a sensitive little bitch. I'm sorry.
And how men tend to think that women are like emotional and they're just so easily triggered. And that's not the case.
Yeah.
The men are triggered for sure. And they have violent outbursts a lot of times, or very angry outbursts because they don't know how to, or when they feel really uncomfortable or when they're kind of being called out, they will deflect. And these are all human traits that all of us do.
Yeah.
And we're kind of, as women and men, we tend to get programmed a little bit differently if we're raised in like Christian culture, Catholic even, or even America kind of culture.
Yeah. Christian culture doesn't shy away from it. They lean into it because it's almost taught you don't actually deal with a lot of it. Just pray about it.
Jesus.
God will take care of it. You're washed in the
Trust
blood,
Jesus.
so just wash over it with Jesus. Say a prayer and give it over to God. And
it's either, that means you're not, if you're like then you're focusing on your problems, stop focusing on your problems, focus on Jesus, or take it to Jesus in prayer. So it's either blindly trust in this, that it might feel good a little bit. There are things that are out of your control. I can see that feeling good. You need to like, some things you got to just let go of because you just do not have control over it. You just have no control. Yeah. Right. But other things that you do, you need to be able to look at yourself and go, am I doing something here that's causing suffering for myself or someone else? Do they have a point? And spiritual bypassing, it would be, I don't have to look at it, or I'm not going to look at it, or just kind of like it's used all the time to get around dealing with hard
thinking about it, I think there's a reason for that in the faith. Because especially in the evangelicalism we were in, you have the mind of Christ. So if you're dealing with these issues, which is mental health issues for the most part, it's not a bad thing. Everyone has mental health issues. You need to talk to people to help work you through some of these issues.
Everybody needs to do inner work too, and that's part of mental health.
And we've been told this by many people. I have the mind of Christ. I can't have mental health issues. So you have this dichotomy fighting against itself.
That's spiritual bypassing in and of itself. You're bypassing it for yourself too, and not just for others. You're saying, I can't work on that because I've given it to Jesus. Jesus is already taking care of that. I'm a new creation. Or
there was such an aversion to psychology and psychiatric help and mental wellness.
And there still is. I don't know if that still is bad.
If someone presented you with a problem, you couldn't say, well, you're dealing with these mental health things and it's perfectly normal. You're dealing with depression. You're dealing with sadness. No, that's not how that goes against what we believe God's supposed to be giving us. The mind of Christ isn't
like that. Yeah.
But we have all these promises that since we're believers, we're being taken care of by God. And we have to have I remember thinking
we have to be perfect, basically.
We constantly have to be perfect, and our minds have to be, and we're working towards that, but God's given us all this grace inside of us that why are we not showing? Because now all of a sudden, inside you have this internal struggle of, I'm not showing the fruits of being saved. Am I saved? Because I have depression or because I'm quick to anger or whatever, I have these issues. Am I saved? Because I'm not seeing the blessings of God in my own mind. So that starts an internal question. And then if you're on the outside, then you start questioning people that present these problems to you. And you're like, it sounds like classic depression, but I can't say that because they're a Christian, and Christians aren't supposed to be depressed. How can you be depressed and be a Christian? Because then you have it all.
Are they really a Christian?
Yeah.
Unless you have enough education around psychology or, I don't know, critical thinking to say mental health is a real thing that we all need to tend to. Just like physical health, there's mental health. They go together and they both need to be attended to. And your mental health can actually get better and better as you get older. Unlike physical health tends to wane a little bit as you get older, right? Mental health can get stronger and stronger. It really can, as you learn how to,
You actually
work
do
through
the
your
work
shit.
instead
Yeah.
of bypassing it and just letting it go and being like, well, God will cure it eventually. You actually roll up your sleeves and start working on it and start looking into it and start doing it. But that can't happen within a high controlled religion, because then you're going to start finding answers, and you're going to start finding contradictions in the faith, and you're going to start realizing the importance of self, which goes against all the dictates of the faith, because you have to die to self in order to, like we said in one of the last episodes was, I must decrease so he must increase. I can't work on myself. I have to work on himself.
Because that would be increasing me.
Yeah.
When it's not. What it does is letting go of, you hear the phrases like ego. Your ego is like, it's a lot of garbage basically that's been picked up, right? It's maybe your programming. I don't know how to define actually ego, and I don't know if I know enough but you can tell when somebody's operating out of their ego. It's not... Well, I guess let's just turn a line here, or turn directions a little, but because I want to talk about how
do you turn a line?
Turn a line. You're walking in a line and then you turn the line. Walk the other direction. Anyways, so I think spiritual bypassing, the biggest thing, it's just trying to sidestep the discomfort that the person feeling inside themselves.
Yeah.
You may be bringing something to them, like in a marriage relationship. In a Christian evangelical marriage relationship, you might have a situation like this, where the wife comes to the husband and says, hey, I feel like I need your help more. I feel like I'm doing everything. He's sitting on the couch watching TV, and she's running circles around him, taking care of all the children. She's aware of where the children are. She's aware of how they emotionally are feeling. She's aware of what the house looks like. Maybe she's in a lot of times, I know for me, and I've heard from a lot of my friends and stuff, that the tidiness of the house affects their mood. So that's affecting her, right? All these things are coming at her energy. And then he's wanting her energy, and he's like, just sit down, relax, and acting like it's no big deal. Well, she's like, I can't relax because the house looks like it does, or the kids need this or that. And I literally cannot stop because these things aren't done. And instead of getting up and helping her, he's thinking in his head, well, that's her spiritual calling. She's wired for this. I don't have to help with that. That's a type of spiritual bypassing. Or she might say, I need help. And he would be like, that's your role. Like he believes she's been conditioned or shaped or created to fill that role, and something's defective about her if she can't do it. Whereas his role is go make money.
Yeah.
And then lead. And go make money. First of all, you're escaping the chaos of the home a lot of the day when you're doing that. And you're leaving that whole burden on her, because even when I was working while the kids were, I was feeling the emotional burden, and there's shame involved. At least when I was working back then while the kids were little, there's shame on moms who are working. You know what I'm saying? And they feel it.
Yeah.
Even though it's not wrong or anything, it's because they're conditioned to believe they should be at home, and then, you put your kids in a daycare. So they're feeling that. And then a man or he'll say, or a situation that we know of, I'm not called for that kind of work. When it comes to mundane, regular work, now there's just human things that need to be done. And when you say it that way, first of all, the word calling has a spiritual connotation that is like, it's loftier than meeting basic needs. It's also just like this level, like I'm above that, which creates this other person feeling inferior. So it's this judgment is what it does. And it creates these feelings inside people very naturally. And it's just because either one, instead of saying, I don't like that kind of work, I feel like I'm above that kind of work, because you could say that and there could be a conversation there. Or And the person could make a clearer thing. Okay, you feel like you're above that kind of work, so you think I'm beneath you because you think I'm fit for that kind of work and you're above it. So here we got these levels going on. Or, you know, you can feel superior, or you can say, I'm really uncomfortable. It makes me feel really uncomfortable. There's a conversation. But instead, when you say I'm calling, how in the hell are you supposed to question somebody's calling? Where did this calling come from? Where do I find out if you really called? Like, you'd get pastors. I'm called to be a pastor. And you're like, how do I know you were called to be a pastor?
Yeah.
Another pastor has said this person is called to be a pastor. Well, how do I know God called him? Am I just supposed to take your word for it? And that is how that works, you know, and if you question it, when someone says they're called to something, or God says, there's no way around it. Or I'll pray for you. You sound like a terrible person in our society if you say, don't pray for me. Or if you say that doesn't work. Or if you say that's not bringing me comfort. Well, what kind of person are you? You see what I'm saying? Like, all these things, it's set up in a way where you can't really expose it.
Yeah.
It keeps the person in religious psychosis if they're in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how the system works. It's set up to protect people like that, because the only thing I got a calling. Well, what's this calling? God actually spoke to you? Well, yeah. You know, how? Was it audible?
How do you know it was God and not you?
Oh, it was an unction that I had, that this feeling that I need to be this. Or, you know, I've always excelled at studying the word. Well, your personality is dry and boring, and no one really enjoys hanging around you. That kind of goes against the purpose. No, this applies to a few people.
I know, but there's someone I'm thinking from our past that I think that you'd be thinking of. But
it's like, you really don't have
just because you think it. Yeah. And if you question it, like, what if I were to say, okay, so if someone says, I've been called to be your pastor, right? God's called me to be your pastor. And I say, well, I'm feeling the unction. I'm feeling that God is saying that's not true. Yeah. How this is so ridiculous, this kind of talk, because it's just used to control people, to get your way. That's really what it is. Instead of saying, I want to be the pastor. What do you think about it? And making that open. There's
an old saying, and someone else used it, and I've probably heard it, but I like it a lot. It's pastors and politicians, preachers and politicians are cut from the same cloth. It's these people that have a hero complex of, I need to be the one to do this. It's almost a narcissistic like a quality.
Savior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a narcissistic quality inside themselves of, put it on me. I got this. I can solve all this. Politicians, all of them.
I'll solve your problems. I'll fix the city.
Everyone else's problems. Or convince themselves that what they do is going to be the things that solve everyone's problems. And it's like, but these are the people that we have elected to office because they have that charisma. They have that belief in themselves, that confidence, that ego inside themselves to say, I'm the one to do it. Trust me.
Yeah. The people who should run that are like
you have great
genuinely
ideas.
humble and stuff.
I have great ideas on things. Will they work? I don't know. I don't ever want to put myself in a position to test them out, because
but we do need people running for those positions but they don't typically
because they don't want
and they would have to say things, and I think because it's so corrupt, a lot of it right now. But eventually, yes, that would be nice, because they could say, I don't know if this is going to work, but this is an idea I have, and then using wise counsel around you, surrounding yourself with people that have actual real wisdom, but when somebody is constantly in spiritual bypassing, they do not surround themselves with yes men.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And these people that say that their calling's not this and all that, they're just self-inflating their own selves.
It's arrogance is what it is.
I'm not called to
it's
do
pride.
that. Like you said, it's like, that's below me and my station in life. There's other people.
And they don't even have to say that. The word calling has that connotation that it's superior because it's spiritual, you know? So yeah, it basically ends a conversation.
Yeah.
Because you don't have anywhere to go. Well, I disagree, you know. Well, you know, if they're in a position over you in some way, and it's usually when it comes to things they don't want to do, they don't want to face, you know, like when you say, I'll just pray for you, thoughts and prayers, it means you really just don't want to do anything. You don't want to get your hands dirty with whatever the situation is. You don't want to have to pour into the situation. And I'm not going to say that every time someone posts something on social media that you have to get involved. But thoughts and prayers is empty. You know, you can say, I'm sorry for your loss. I mean, and I don't care if someone were to say thoughts and prayers to me, I'm not going to get on their case because I know genuinely most people mean good by it. But you got to understand, most of us who have left Christianity, first of all, it's kind of triggering because we know how freaking empty it is, and they're not going to help you. You know, they're just going to kind of say,
basically, you know, how I take it is, I care about you, but not enough to actually help you.
yeah. Or I care about you just because you put this on here and I don't want to look like a douche.
Yeah.
I feel guilty about not saying anything. So I don't know that they even care that much about you, but yeah, or care enough to type with my finger or something here real quick, but not enough to actually, you know, show humanity, like just be humane with you, like understand you are grieving or whatever the situation is, right? Or you need help in a situation. Like just spiritual bypassing is used in so many areas, and it probably encompasses there's probably a lot of cliches that we use or that we're used in Christianity, like thoughts and prayers, God called me. I mean, there's probably a ton of them. And I think, to be honest, I think women use them just as much, probably, but I do think men use them quite a bit. Because they don't want to they're the leaders. You know what I'm saying? All the glory positions go to men. Women are the servers. They're in the, trenches doing the dirty work, especially as you get older, or the men in like power positions in the church.
Here's something we can kind of finish this with on too. Because talking about this, and from a man's point of view, you don't want to get into the work either, because that can expose you for how inept you truly are.
So that's the ego. They're scared of getting exposed.
So if I'm going to try to go in here and, someone comes to me and is like, I have all these issues, what can I do? I have to either know what I'm talking about or expose the fact that I have no clue what I'm talking about. And I've just been faking this whole time.
Well, yeah. And that makes me think, like, I'm wondering, as you said that, I'm wondering if, how a lot of times women are accused of being emotional because they have to learn how to, they've been programmed to be very sensitive to everybody else around the room to basically calm their nervous system. They're basically pacifying everyone, right? And men a lot of times are programmed to kind of hide their weaknesses, like you said, like the ego. So people will say women are emotional. And I don't hear this said as often, but it is said that men have a fragile ego, right? So it's like, I'm wondering if those are like two of the main things in our culture, Christian and capitalism probably, that patriarchy, that need to be deconstructed for men and women. Like men need some ego strengthening, where they can handle criticism. I feel like sometimes just watching certain people that I know who are Christians, they cannot handle these men. And a lot of times it's men, not always. I think there's definitely women that can't handle criticism at all. Oh, yeah. They can't handle being criticized where there's constructive criticism. Like criticism can be very constructive to help you go, wait a second, where you'll look at yourself. But they won't do it because their ego is so fragile. It just crumbles at the slightest, saying anything might be off or they might need to work on anything. We got to wrap it up.
Yeah, I just got a text message. So give me your conclusive thought on that.
I would just say, pay attention to spiritual bypassing. If you have more examples, that we thought of this on the fly, so it's like kind of we don't have a ton of talking points on it, but just something we've noticed this week and noticed throughout our time as Christians, where it's just, things are just dismissed. Problems are dismissed. When you have an issue, it's like, instead of actually helping the problems, just, you need to trust God with it. You need to pray more or whatever. Yeah. So it's just so that they don't have to you don't have to do the work. And true following of Jesus, I think, is just getting your hands dirty, actually helping one another, hands and feet, being the hands and feet, rather than
everyone wants to be the
mouthpiece. They all want to be the mouthpiece, is what they want.
I'll just tell you what to believe. In church said, not everyone can be a head. We need fingers and toes and elbows still too. Well,
they would never say the head because Jesus is the head, but they would say the mouth.
Yeah, whatever. But it was always the pastor.
Pastor,
saying
not the
it.
Mouth. Yeah.
We only need one mouth, this guy up here. But I need some fingers and toes.
I've got that part taken care of. You guys can be like fingernails.
Elbows and buttholes to take care of everything else. So, exactly. Just saying. Anywho, if you are watching on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like, follow, and subscribe. We'd appreciate that greatly. Leave us a comment. We love hearing comments, and we respond to all the comments too. Same goes for if you're listening to just on a streaming platform, Spotify, Apple, whatever. Give us 5 stars on top and leave us a comment there if you got a moment, because we'll respond to all of them also. Again, we love comments. So go in there and check all that out for us. Down below.
Smash that like. Links down below.
All our links down below. And not sausage links, computer links. I ate all the sausage links already.
It's a good distinction.
All our links down below, dannycan.com, whatnot, has everything we're doing. And then a few others that Candy broke out separately. If you want to take a little shortcut, they're down below too. So click on them, see what we got going on.
Check out my series.
Check out your series.
Devotions for Deconstructing.
YouTube. Yep.
Where I'm comparing 3 different books. Even a couple of them are Christian ones, just to show the kind of mindset it shapes.
Yep. So check all that out. Everything's down below for you too. So other than that, my freaky...
No, don't call him. No. Just go out in the world and do something good. Good for yourself and good for others. And that's the end. Goodbye.
Bye.
More.